What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel. Today on CFP with JD, it's playoff time. And who better to talk these Bulls than with Bull expert extraordinaire, Jake Olson. Welcome into CFP with JD, the people's channel for everything you know that you love about college football. We do it right here on this channel. We do it here nearly every single day, so we would encourage you to subscribe. Armstrong Sims and Jack McKenzie, they make the magic happen. We're outsourcing some magic this bowl season. We brought on Jake Olson, the man who is bowl-lingual. He's got his PhD in bowl season. Jake, first of all, thank you for coming on. Second of all, how are you doing?
It is my pleasure, and I'm doing well, JD. It is my season. I was born for this season. I played Division I football at USC, even though I'm blind, and even more impressive, as you mentioned, I have my PhD in bowl games, bowl season, everything bowl. I talk a bunch of bowl all the time. You know that as my best friend, JD. So let's do that. Let's talk a bunch of bowl right now.
How about that? Yeah, let's talk some more bowl. One bowl that we got going on. Hopefully, it's a good omen for us on New Year's Eve. Goodyear Cotton Bowl. It's going to be a good year, ideally. This is going to be a really interesting game. We got the number 4 ranked Cincinnati Bearcats. You got the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama's favored by 2 touchdowns in this one, a smooth little 14. Jake, what is the diagnosis on this game?
Well, the first diagnosis will be if a group of 5 school ever gets into the playoff again, I think. So Cincinnati has a lot on their shoulders, JD. They come in, they're playing Bama. We want Bama. They get Bama. And I think they will show up for this game. I think they will give Bama a game early on. However, I think between Saban's game script and plan, which honestly I like Fickle, but Saban just knows how to win these games. Between Bryce Young finally putting it together, he's coming with all the confidence in the world, especially after the SEC championship game. I really think Bama shows up in the second half, puts this game away. I think right around that 14 points is going to be the point differential. Give me Bama minus 14. They're winning by 2 touchdowns.
That's where things are going to get interesting. If it's close at half and you're Cincinnati, do you not feel a little bit like, okay, maybe we can hang with them? They're supposed to be the number 1 team in the country, and we're hanging with them at half. It's close. I think if Cincinnati can have some belief in this game, things could get kind of tricky for Alabama. And we've seen both these teams sort of look lackluster at teams they shouldn't look lackluster against. Like we saw them play against Auburn, did Bama, and really had to mess around with them for a few overtimes. We saw Alabama look pretty average against an LSU team that, I don't think either one of us thinks enormously highly of. But then for Cincinnati, they messed around with Tulane, they messed around with Tulsa. Like the teams we're talking about with the teams they have trouble with are very, very different, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree. I understand what you're saying there. But all that's regular season. A lot of that's regular season. Saban knows how to win these games. He's shown it over and over again. If nothing else, for no other reason, head coaching, Fickle has not been there. Saban's been there and then some.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. Experience. How much does that play into this game? For Alabama, the bright lights, that's like another day at the office for them. For Cincinnati, this is the biggest game in program history. This will be what their entire season is marked by, obviously. Even more so, the entire, history of Cincinnati football has led up to this kind of game. So it's going to be high intensity for them, without a doubt. Here's what I'm looking at in this game. Alabama will be without one of their stud receivers in John Mechie. John Mechie tore his ACL. He's done for the year. Extremely unfortunate, a big blow for the Crimson Tide. For Cincinnati, you have 2 of the best corners that the Crimson Tide have played all year long. Alabama, at times, has struggled to run the football. We'll see if they can get healthy for this game, but they've struggled to run the football most of the time this season. So, if you're going to go ahead and put Sauce Gardner or Kobe Bryant on Jameson Williams and take him out of the game, if you're Cincinnati, can you attack Bryce Young and make it tough on him? Can you put pressure on him and make him uncomfortable? Because we've seen this Alabama offensive line have issues of its own. So if Cincinnati's hanging around in that first half, Jake, I'm actually going to take Cincinnati to win this football game. Maybe it's a hot take. Maybe I'm putting my neck out there a little bit too much, but I'm taking the Bearcats to get it done on New Year's Eve. Miracles happen on December 31st for the Bearcats.
Well, JD, again, I will let you put your neck out there. I won't let it get cut off, but I'm going to gently push back on that forehead of yours and remind you again who's sitting on the other side of that date with Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't feel great about picking against Nick Saban. I don't think that's ever a smart thing to do, so that's for sure a valid point. One more thing I want to get on before we move on from this game. For Cincinnati, I mean, they essentially carry the entire weight of the group of five and the expectation or the conversation, the argument, whatever you want to call it, for, hey, the group of five should have a chance at the playoff. Well, they're in the playoff now, and they drew the archetype for the big, bad team on the other side of this thing. The reason why you say they shouldn't be in the playoff is because they have to play a team like Alabama. And so, I mean, history is writing itself out right now. They drew Alabama. What happens if Cincinnati comes out and gets boat raced? Does that have any knock against expansion? That's a deep topic, but I mean, just on the surface, what do you think about that?
Yes, I don't know the exact fallout of that and the argument. Cincinnati needs to keep this a close game. This needs to be an entertaining game. I know there's been plenty of other playoff games that have been blowouts, and that hasn't, ruined the chances of those conferences putting in their best team in future years. However, this is a little different. That argument has already existed. And yes, Cincinnati, who in previous years would definitely be the best group of five team to come out of that group of five and be put in the playoff. It better than even UCF in 2018 or whatever that was, 2017. They really need to prove themselves, keep this game close, at least show up. They cannot lay an egg.
I absolutely agree, because if you swap the label of a Notre Dame and a Cincinnati, I mean, look at just last year when Alabama and Notre Dame played, and Alabama boat raced Notre Dame. No one was down on Notre Dame and saying they should never make the playoff again, because that's the kind of weight that's going to be on Cincinnati. If they get boat raced, if they just come out and, like you said, lay an egg, there's going to be people saying, well, this is why we don't put the group of five in the college football playoff. Moving right along, Jake. We got Georgia and Michigan in the Capital One Orange Bowl for the other semifinal playoff game. Georgia comes in with the number one defense. Michigan comes in with the number two defense. Michigan giving up 16 a game. Georgia giving up a single-digit 9.8 points a game. What do we like here?
This will be a great game. This will be college football at its finest. It will be gritty. I think there's some explosive plays still to be had, however. In my opinion, Michigan needs to do one thing very well if they want a chance at this, and that is run the ball. And they do have two running backs that know how to do that between Haskins and Corum, and that's where it lies. The goal and the winning recipe lies within those two running backs. One, they need to move the chains forward. They need to get ahead of the chains on first and second down. They cannot sit there in third and long all night long and expect to move the ball. That's going to lead to turnovers. That's going to lead to Georgia being able to pad up a nice maybe 2 or 3 possession score, which then you are in deep, deep water against Georgia. So they need to stay ahead, run those players, keep the game close, and then, like any defense, what occurs when you run the ball well against them for 50 minutes or 45 minutes, that fourth quarter becomes very, very difficult for a defense to keep that same ferocity, to keep that same tempo. Guys miss tackles, guys are a little slow, and you all of a sudden can break out those runs. All of a sudden you can really throw, and that's exactly what Michigan needs to bank on. I'm expecting this game to be close, JD. I'm expecting Michigan to maybe trail for 3 quarters, and I think they will have 1 or 2 possessions in the fourth quarter they capitalize on. They are going to the championship game.
Wow, so you're taking the Wolverines to make the college football national championship. Is that what I'm hearing?
I do think so. Yes.
All right.
I will take Michigan. Like I said, if they stick with that game plan, that they can do it.
Well, I would love that matchup. If Michigan makes the college football national championship, Can you imagine the scene that will be going on, not just in Athens, Georgia, in the entire Southeast? They will be very, very upset with Kirby Smart because this was supposed to be the year. He said it himself, not because he knew it was being filmed, but someone got it in the locker room at halftime. They said, hey, this is our year. Use some more colorful language, but he said, this is our year. And so I think the pressure is undoubtedly on Georgia, and you diagnosed this game to a T, Doctor. Can Georgia figure out how to force Michigan into tough third downs? Because we've seen they want to stay ahead of the sticks. They don't want to live in 3rd and 7. Nobody does, but especially not Michigan because they're not built for it. They don't have those weapons on the outside that maybe some other teams do. For Georgia, if you're concerned about anything, it's got to be the quarterback position. We saw them last week. It was Stetson Bennett having trouble to diagnose that defense. They had other problems on the ground. They didn't run the ball very well. You got to find a way to run the ball and take the pressure off of whoever is playing quarterback. I think you can win a national championship or at least get to a national championship with Stetson Bennett. I've sort of changed my tune on him a touch. I think JT Daniels gives you the best chance, but Stetson Bennett, a very serviceable quarterback. Now he's going to have to deal with the pass rush of that Aiden Hutchinson, of whatever else they're going to bring at him from that second level. I just think Stetson Bennett is going to be able to have a bounce-back game. I don't see Georgia losing 2 games in a row, so for that reason, I take the Dogs. Actually, I'm taking the Dogs to cover in this game, Jake. I think it has a chance to get ugly.
Wow.
I think they're going to be able to win this game, and I think they're going to find themselves in Indianapolis for the championship game.
I'm not going to call you crazy, like I said. I can definitely see a game script that is exactly what you said, and Georgia can run up that score, put Michigan in an unfavorable position in that game where it's just going to lead to more of what we're saying, which is Georgia just controlling and scoring. But I think Jim Harbaugh, who's finally got his year, talking about whose year it is, Jim Harbaugh finally had his year, and I think it is because of that he's going to come in there with this kind of game plan, execute it, and this game will be closer than you even imagine, JD.
So, Jake, we've been in lockstep for the duration of bowl season. It comes down to the playoff, and you have an Alabama-Michigan final. I have a Cincinnati and Georgia final. So I guess that's all gone to the Dogs, no pun intended. But nonetheless, I'm just fired up. One of us will probably be right about one of these teams if we're going to play the odds here. So I don't think either of us are going 0 for 2, hopefully. But either way, it looks like we got our bases covered. Jake, thank you again so much for joining us for this bowl season. It's been an absolute pleasure of mine to have you on, man. You're welcome. Obviously, anytime. One of my best friends, one of the best in the business, talking bowl season, and could not be more grateful for you to take time with us this bowl season.
JD, always my favorite time of year, always my favorite thing to do around this time of year. I cannot wait to sit back, tweet these things out, tweet other things out alongside what Baylor football, and really just enjoy watching these games. We're going to be losing our hair, so next year if we come not with our beautiful hair, a couple of these games went the wrong way.
Yeah, we will absolutely be tweaking out. Well, man, I love you. Thank you to everyone who tuned in this bowl season. We will undoubtedly keep this party rolling all the way to the national title game. Subscribe for everything going on here at CFB with JD. Follow Jake on Twitter at JakeOlston61. We appreciate you. We love you. We will keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.